Ladies and gentlemen, Six Fig Stock Trader here on YouTube. Today we are talking CKB. How about that? Before we get into the TA, check me out on Twitter. Also, we will be getting into some NFTs. So if you had heard about the CK Punk collection, I did pick up one of those. Also, I did pick up a NFT released by Josh Yates, and we'll get into these later on. So with that said, give at MyNervos a follow. This is going to be a huge player here in the upcoming weeks, in the upcoming videos. So check out MyNervos. Big things to come there. But one thing I like about these NFTs on Nervos Network is when I paid for my CK Punk, this was the transaction fee. I mean, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that number in terms of pennies, but you can kind of see how cool these things are. Back to the charts. Let's get into this, because what I'm seeing here is I've got this feeling that we are seeing a Gartley pattern kind of form. So let's break this down at a super high level today. First and foremost, let's go ahead and run this Fibonacci channel to make sure that we are still in this upward trend. Now, we did see this price action come down a few days ago and really nip at the heels of this trend line. So importantly enough, it did not break through this lower trend line of this channel. However, it wouldn't surprise me to maybe see a retest like we saw back when this thing first started. Now let's get into Gartley here, because I do think that this could be a possible play, and I do think that the next logical resistance levels for CKB are going to be 2 cents, 2.5 cents, and 3 cents. Those are just psychological numbers. I do think that it's going to mess with them. So we're going to measure off this little high here. This will be X, here will be A down here. This spot up here will be B, this will be C, and what we are trying to do is measure where D could possibly be. So let's get into this. Bear with me 1 second here. So first and foremost, we need to figure out what range this price action is in here. Now we can already tell that it's not higher than this point here, so I am almost 100% sure this is above the 61.8, 786 level for sure. So with that said, we are golden here. We can put up our little marker to show the trading zones here where support and resistance kind of met. Let's get rid of our Fibonacci, and now what we are trying to do is predict where this is going to be. Now I want this anywhere from the 61.8 to 786 levels. So let's get into that. Now it's good to see that we didn't have any closes below the 786. So I will take this. Ideally, I would like to see the ends of these the ends of these candles wicking the 786, but since we didn't have a close, I'm going to go with this. Now, let's go ahead and try to figure out where the 127 is. So right up by this 3 cent level, 0.028, maybe in fact the next zone that we see a little bit of resistance if we swing to the upside here. So with that said, we can see how this thing might jump to maybe 3 cents. And if this thing really picks up traction, we may be in for a retest of this 4.5 cent level. I mean, we are super close at that point. So with that said, I want to just go ahead and look at this thing on a grand scale. Bear with me 1 second here. So look at this, folks. Interestingly enough, when we go ahead and measure on a grand scale from all-time highs to all-time lows, look where the 61.8 pops up. 0.02846, almost dead accurate with this Gartley pattern. So I do think that this 0.0284, 0.0285 level might be an important level for the next support and resistance band within the Fibonacci extension world. Obviously, if we talk bearish, which I'm going to do right now because we need to take a peek at Bitcoin. And obviously, if you see CKB really trading below this 0.0123 cent level, 0.011 cent level, we might have some bigger issues and we might have fallen out of favor with this upward trend. It just depends on when you are viewing this video. So let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin really quick, because none of this is going to matter without Bitcoin. And so here is kind of something I did earlier on. Is I ran a Gartley retracement pattern, and I do think that we are still in for a $20,000 Bitcoin. But let's get into this a little bit closer. So we can see that right now, Bitcoin is in a broadening wedge. So it's really going to need to break through this upper trend line here. And this broadening wedge at this point in time is a pretty bearish pattern, because if it gets rejected here, it will likely travel down into the $30,000 price tag range. So I do know that there's been some pretty bearish news surrounding this Evergrande incident in China, but on the daily, folks, we are still trading within the cloud on Bitcoin, and this is going to remain a problem until price action closes outside of the cloud. So with that said, Bitcoin is really at a pivot point right now, and we will need to wait to see what is going to happen here. We do have some clear support here, though, at this $29,000, $30,000 level, but we're going to take a peek at Bitcoin on the weekly chart. And we did close a green candle on the weekly chart, which is awesome. And you can see how we are trying to stay out of this cloud, because everybody knows that once price action moves into this cloud, it's over. So I would assume that within the next week, we will see this candle change. And if things get nasty, this could turn red. So, this isn't the first time we've ever seen a series of green candles, a series of red candles, and then some green candles on the 50 moving average bounce after a all-time high record. Now we can definitely see how previously back in 2014, 15, somewhere in there, we saw price action come down, bounce off the 50, and really it's kind of looking almost the same as far as the bounce goes. But we had a series of green candles, some red ones, some green ones. So it may be a few weeks before we see the true direction of Bitcoin from this point on. I'm bullish. I mean, I'm hoping that this will give CKB enough time to fly, because once Bitcoin gets sucked into this cloud, if it does, we might be in for some hurt. So with that said, folks, that's really all I got for you guys in today's video. I might throw out a Voyager video later on, but those videos just haven't been performing too terribly well. So we'll talk more if the market changes. And up and coming, we do have some videos on NFTs on the Nervos Network. I mean, who could argue with less than a penny for a transaction fee? If you wanted to sell this on ETH or trade an NFT on ETH, this would cost anywhere from $45 to like $110 more. I mean, so give Hunter X Labs a big follow as well. They are the ones that created the CK Punks, and I'll let you guys know why I like this project. So stay tuned, subscribe. Big shout out to all my Patreons. Thanks to every single one of you for subscribing and supporting the channel. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, it's $3 a month. You can get your name, business name, YouTube channel name on this banner. With that said, folks, I hope you guys have a wonderful day.